WGBY just hosted an exciting event with Civil War firing reenactments at Springfield's Armory as we prepare for the upcoming Ken Burns documentary, The Address. Well, now joining me is historian Rich Colton from Springfield Armory to tell us about the role that the Armory played in the Civil War. Thank you so much, Rich, for joining me this afternoon. So let's talk about this recent event where WGBY hosted The Address at Springfield Armory. Talk about the role that you played that afternoon.
Well, I had several roles. One, I'm the historian, so I help put together the programs and connect it to the resources and explain that to the people. Sometimes when I'm in the museum, I try to take the groups and bring them around and show them the exhibits and make it meaningful. In other words, try to bridge the objects with the objects just sitting there because they don't speak for themselves, and to the meaning of it all. What does it mean? What does the place mean? And another role I have is I'm what's known as the Historic Weapons Safety Officer, which my role is not just to be knowledgeable about what the reenactors will bring in, but to make sure that they are safely handled because they use gunpowder. It's the old-fashioned type of gunpowder, very smoky, but it's explosive and it can burn and hurt people, so I take care of that.
Now, that was one of the things that stood out to me at this event that WGBY hosted was the reenactment of the firings. These weapons, it wasn't just like pull, bang, it took some time to, do the whole musket thing. Right. It's like a process.
Yeah, it makes quite a spectacle too, because people introduced to it, often by the unit leaders. In this case, they're both federal units. One was a small group that has grown here in Springfield, portraying the role of African American soldiers, and they're coming right along. They did a great job. And then there was a larger group from Connecticut, the 11th and 8th Infantry and the 2nd Connecticut Heavy Artillery combined. There were almost 24 of them, and they were able to demonstrate just what it looks like in mass, in two-ranked mass. It's pretty impressive when it's done right. It's a step process. They have 9 steps to load in the musket, and the manual is written for safety, which I'm grateful for, and then it works.
Now, not just the soldiers, but also the weapons played such a vital role in the Civil War.
Well,
Talk about
Springfield Armory's role.
Exactly. Springfield Armory was such a big deal. Back then, it was the only federal armory in the country.
Once Virginia seceded from the Union, the only other national armory was at Harper's Ferry. And Harper's Ferry was just about as big. It had always been the younger armory, kind of our younger sibling armory, but by the 1840s and 50s, it was producing fully as much as Springfield Armory was the identical weapon, which is what the two of them have been trying to do for several generations. And the day that Virginia seceded, the garrison there retreated, burning the entire armory, and it never recovered. The equipment was taken by the Confederacy and used to make copies of the same muskets in Richmond and Fayetteville, North Carolina.
What would be a surprising fact that people wouldn't think Springfield Armory and the Civil War have in common? What's a connection you think that kind of sticks out?
Well, it's a tremendous connection. Springfield Armory you could think of as a weapons system. It was developed by the nation, and it pioneered mass interchangeable production. It made Springfield the first city where automobiles are mass produced at the end of the century, the first place where motorcycles are successfully mass produced. It became the hub of all this highly technical, at that time, industry of precision metal cutting. Today you still have jet engines being made just over the boundary, and we're still a firearm manufacturing center up and down the valley. This all starts in 1794. When the Armory is ordered by President Washington and Congress to start producing small arms. And we've been here for almost 20 years, since 1777, as the main arsenal for the Continental Army in the northern states. So it's an ongoing operation. They jump right into it, start producing flintlock muskets immediately. And by the time of the Civil War, the United States was recognized internationally as the world leader in mass production, particularly for military weapons. The United States is probably the last nation that a number of states in the South should have declared war against, because they were unprepared, utterly unprepared for what was to come down on them. We had one model of weapon that we had designed, in fact, shot one particular bullet. It was very efficient, and we learned how to mass produce it, and the South had to learn that all over again.
And the Springfield Armory was just only about 20 years old at that time. Now it's well over 200 years old. Talk about...
Well, it was, it had been around, what, 61? Yeah, a little over 65 years old at that time, from the time it started producing. The same thing happened in the Second World War. You have the M1 rifle designed and produced here, about an average of 1 million a year of this weapon, which gave the American infantrymen quite an advantage. And you look at the difference between production. The most remarkable thing is that Springfield Armory produced 800,000 rifle muskets during the war. One particular long range, although muzzle loading, relatively slow to load, but powerful and accurate. And we had 36 contractors who made the identical weapon. They produced over 1 million. The Confederacy total produced maybe 80,000.
So that mass production definitely helped give the Union a competitive
By June of
advantage.
1864, our private contractors, combined with our production, produced every 3 weeks what the Confederacy produced in the entire war. And we did that every 3 weeks for the next 9 months. The Confederacy didn't stand a chance. It meant that after 6 weeks, we produced twice as much as you produced in the entire war. There was no way they could hope to get out from under that.
Which is probably why the Union ended up winning the war.
It's a big part of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Such a big part of it. Thank you so much, Rich
Thank you.
Colton from the Springfield Armory.
Yeah, my pleasure.